Could a digital twin prevent a bank run? Welcome to FLAIRS, the podcast. Conversations with the sponsors of the 2023 edition of FLAIRS. We're not looking for sales pitches, but for true insights and some good stories. 10 minutes of healthy food for thought. Who could say no to that? I'm Rogier van der Zwaan. I work at ING. And my guest in this episode is Shantanu Talukdar. Shantanu is Head of Innovation at TCS, correct? On LinkedIn, you write that you're a technology enthusiast and especially passionate about the technologies that enable new business model creation. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
By the way, welcome to the studio.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me.
You're a techie.
Techie, also business. It's a mix.
/ business.
Yeah.
Well, I can congratulate you because there's a very new technology, new kid on the block, and it's called AI.
Absolutely.
How excited are you about AI?
It's very fascinating to see AI around us. It's already been there with us.
For how long?
It's been there since last several decades. And we have seen the evolutions of AI and how it is able to solve critical problems in different fields, in the fields of medicine, science, finance as well. So we see a huge potential of AI.
And I'm watching Black Mirror and stuff, so sometimes I'm a little bit scared also. But where is this going? Do you also have that same emotion or just optimistic?
Well, I think because of the advancements in AI, and especially now Gen AI, it is of course creating a lot of buzz. But at the same time, it is also creating some fear among the people that, okay, is AI going to take our jobs and so on? I believe AI is going to stay and it is going to help humans succeed in many different ways. The only cautious part here is that we need to use AI in a more responsible way. So once we have that in control, then I think AI can do magic and can solve many complex, unsolved problems that will help business and society to move ahead.
But we have to treat it responsibly.
Absolutely.
Well, you not only love technology, but also business models, and you're actually bringing a very interesting business model to the table today, which is called digital twins.
Yes.
Or a digital twin.
Yeah.
Introduce us. What is it?
Well, digital twin as a concept, it already exists in other industries like machinery, manufacturing, where you create digital replicas of the physical assets in a digital environment. You test out the characteristic of those physical assets. And once you are successful in a digital simulation environment, then only you go and start building those heavy machines and heavy assets. Now, we are trying to bring this concept in the services world as well. So when we talk digital twin, we are creating digital twin of everything. So digital twin of your products, digital twin of your customers, digital twin of your customer journeys, digital twin of resources, and the ecosystem in which the organizations operate. So digital twin gives you the ability to try out multiple what-if scenarios in a risk-free business environment so that you can fine-tune and you can make the necessary changes. You can improve the predictability. And once you are satisfied, then only you launch something into the market so that the success rate is higher.
So how are digital twin models, how are they different from the traditional ones?
Yeah, I mean, traditionally also we have been building many such AI models, but those models are quite linear in nature. When we introduce models through digital twin, they are based on a very latest technology, which is called agent-based modeling, which means we are not just modeling the human part, but we are modeling all the entities which exist in that ecosystem. So if there is any change in an external entity, that percolates down to the change that, okay, how will that change influence the human behavior model? For example, before COVID, all organizations, they have certain predictive models built in. But then after COVID, all those models went for a toss because the human behavior had changed completely by then. With digital twin, we can model all these external macro factors, like if there is a social economic change, if there's a pandemic, if there is a recession, and so on. And those are ingested as a part of your overall model. And we see how does that change influence a human behavior change. So that gives a kind of a backbone to this digital twin. And the simulation, it's icing on the cake, where you can run multiple such scenarios in a simulation environment. And once you are happy with the results, then you launch it in the market.
And it's learning all the time.
It's learning all the time, automatically from the external factors as well.
Is this a dream or is this proven technology, so to speak?
Well, it is pretty much proven technology. We have tried. It is already implemented.
Can you give
in
an
multiple
example?
places. Sure. Let me give a couple of examples. Like, for example, in a societal case, we have solved a huge problem during the pandemic time. We have created a digital twin of the entire city. It is called Pune in India. It's a large city. And during COVID times, everything was restricted. So the city administrators, together with the city administrators, we created the digital twin of different entities, like digital twin of hospitals, digital twin of schools, mobility, transportation system, and so on. Once we created these entities, we could simulate that, okay, what if I release a transportation in a specific segment? How will it impact the behavior? How will it change the overall dynamics? And that helped administrators to decide. Before actually doing it, they could already know if they do a scenario, what will be the outcome. So this is implemented in Pune as a city. So this is one example where we are making a societal impact. And we got encouraged with this. And now we are using digital twin to solve problems in other societal problems, like in agriculture, in healthcare, in transportation, smart cities, and so on.
It sounds fantastic. But how do you create a copy of a city? How does it work? Like, how many people live in Pune?
There are close to more than 10 million people.
So you created 10 million copies of inhabitants and their kind of behavior or risk attitudes, or how does it work?
Yeah, so digital twin can be done for specific entities. It can go to the granular level of n equal to 1, which means we can create a digital twin of every customer. So every customer could become a segment by its own. In this case, we modeled the different entities like hospitals, the transportation systems. We observed it at a macro level. We did not delve into n equal to 1 level at a consumer level. So with this, we were still able to solve the problem. But in business case, yes, there is a reason to even go to the level of n equal to 1 so that you can provide hyper-personalized services.
How would you make a digital twin of me?
Well, every user has a specific persona. We create digital archetypes of humans. So we have few hundred archetypes created. We call them digital DNA. So based on a specific characteristic of a person, he or she may fall under that specific.
And what is that? Age?
It's a mix of many things. It's a age, demographic information, but also the behavioral information. Like, for example, if a person is more tech savvy, is a person more spend thrift, is a person, is spontaneously loves to buy something. So every human has a specific persona, but it is also influenced by the different actors around them. So we also model those different actors. For example, if there is an sudden interest rate hike,
yes,
how will it drive a human behavioral change? What are the things they are going to do? So our digital twin helps in creating the models of all these entities and find out interrelations so that if anything changes even at a macro level, we can find out that, okay, how will it influence a change in a human behavior level?
Yeah, you can go quite deep and philosophical in this, but but humans are not rational beings. We're not rational. We do stuff that doesn't make sense. We act intuitively.
Yep.
Stuff like that. Can you predict irrationality?
That is still a complex problem. In most of the business scenarios, when we say, okay, let's take an example of a mortgage journey. When a prospect is coming to subscribe buy a mortgage.
Sure.
There are 10 steps a prospect will go through across the journey so that eventually they can sign a contract. But then at every stage, there are customer dropouts or prospect dropouts may happen because of certain reasons. What we do is we are modeling different personas of these customers. And if we see that, okay, these are the genuine prospects, then you can, as a bank, you can intervene and you can help them bypass some of the steps so that you are closer to buying the mortgage. So these are the type of problems that we are solving. And of course, the irrationality will remain. Mm-hmm. We are not saying that this is 100%, no. Accurate. But digital twin gives you the ability to try out different scenarios. You can try hundreds or thousands of scenarios
and very fast.
Very fast.
Right?
Yes. So if you want to launch a campaign and you have some predictive models that, okay, with this campaign, my conversion rate will be certain percentage. But when you actually do it, maybe the outcome is different. So what we are saying is you do that campaign in a simulation environment and you can run multiple scenarios, hundreds of scenarios. And the scenario which plays out well, that you take it up and then actually do it.
Is this the end of experimenting as we know it?
I would say it's a beginning of new way of experimenting. So what we are saying is we are providing a risk-free business experimentation environment. So you can experiment with hundreds of such scenarios in a risk-free environment, which is more data-driven. If we see today, organizations, 60 to 70%, they still depend on intuition and experience for making decisions. Mm-hmm. And only 5% to 10% are data-driven decisions. We want to reverse this.
Yeah.
So we want to reduce the dependency on intuition-based decision and increase business experimentation and business simulation-based decision-making.
Yeah.
So that's a shift we are talking about.
Yeah. Well, let's take a real-life example. We've seen some banks going down earlier this year. Switzerland, some smaller banks in the US. Can a digital twin, could it prevent something like a bank run to happen?
That will be a very interesting problem. I think, first of all, it's a very complex.
Short answer. It's possible.
It's possible in few steps. We cannot say that it is 100% we can predict that, okay, when it's going to have a bank run. But what we can do with digital twin is that bank run is a systemic issue.
Yeah.
There are multiple entities involved in the financial system. We can model those financial entities, model the customer behaviors, and we can try out multiple scenarios in a risk-free environment. So digital twin may not be 100% accurate in predicting, but it will help you play out with the scenarios so that you can be better prepared if such things happen. And since this is a FLAIRS event, we have some brilliant representatives from all the banks who are participating in the FLAIRS. So I would encourage that maybe a group could be formed with all the bank representatives and we try out that how can we use digital twin to prevent a bank run. It could be one of its unique kind in Netherlands, and this could be scaled up to other financial systems across the world.
Well, it's a nice challenge. I would say let's do it. But this also requires companies, organizations to collaborate, to share data.
Yeah.
How critical is that?
Yeah, I think it's a very critical step. So far, if we are operating digital twin in an organizational context, so the data remains within the organization and we can extract the data from the systems. But in the case of bank run or such a systemic problems that we are referring here, of course, it needs a collaboration across all the banks. I think there are already certain collaborations which are happening in Netherlands. For example, TMNL, which is an entity which is responsible for doing preventing the AML, and all the banks are participating. So it's a coordinated effort. I think similar effort needs to be also taken for solving problems like potential bank runs. And definitely the banks need to come together and share data and progress on that.
AI is changing our world, no doubt.
Yep.
Digital twins is one good example of it. How is AI going to make this world a better place, do you think?
Yep, absolutely. I think AI is changing our lives in many ways. It is impacting the way we do our work. Some jobs, they need to be influenced, they will be influenced heavily by AI, but that creates an opportunity to further upskill and develop new skills. And that's what human has been doing over the last many years. I mean, we talk about robotics and robots and so on, but we never stopped inventing and innovating. I think AI will also follow the same phase. And as a human, it will definitely help the society in solving very critical problems. And the only thing that we need to take into consideration here is the responsibility part. That whether... So
what do you mean with that?
Yeah, so the governments are also stepping in and will gradually make AI under regulatory guidelines. We need more education also for the people who are developing such models. They need to be aware what are the problems AI could create in terms of ethics, bias, and so on, which goes into the model inherently. It's not purposeful, but people have to, the designers, developers, they have to understand that what could be the implications.
What goes in,
what goes in, yeah. So it needs to be done in a more transparent way. And with that, I think it's going to stay, and it is going to have a profound impact to the business and society.
Well, thanks for coming. And that wraps up this edition of FLAIRS, the podcast. We have a couple of more of these conversations. You'll find them on the same platform where you found this one. Thanks for listening or watching, and have a lot of fun and conversations at FLAIRS 2023. Bye-bye.